Good morning, guys. Happy Saturday morning. Today, guys, I'm going to be showing you how I bake and store my homemade biscuits for later. If you're single like I am, you know we deal with the issue of buying the smallest can of biscuits in the grocery store and still having to toss the remainder. Even if we try to save it for the next day or the day after, those biscuits just don't seem to rise quite like the first set. So I'm showing you today how I make my homemade biscuits and how I store and save them for later use, and they are just as delicious as the first day. All right, so let's talk about what you're going to need in order to not only make your biscuits, but then to store and save them for later. All right, here we go. Okay guys, for starters, you're going to need some self-rising flour. I learned from my mistake the very first time I tried to make homemade biscuits. You see, I just have the Great Value brand. It works just as good, but I've often heard a lot about the white lily flour. We don't happen to have that in my area of the Pacific Northwest. I do have some gold medal, but I'm going to be using up the rest of this Great Value today. You're going to need some heavy whipping cream. Any brand will do, but your heavy whipping cream, you're going to need that. My recipe is just a two ingredient recipe. And then you're going to need your measuring cup. This is a 1 cup measuring cup. You'll need that. You'll need some type of a rolling mat or surface, something to roll your biscuits on, unless you don't mind just rolling them out on your counter. You'll need parchment paper. I just have 1 sheet, hand size. And you're going to need a food saver. This is mine. I've had it for many years. This is a lifesaver for me as a single person and storing food. And you're going to need some of the food saver bags. All right? So that's all you're going to need for this. Really simple. Let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, guys, and so I am going to start my recipe with 2 cups or maybe 3 cups of flour, because I'm going to make like a batch and a half of, that's how much cream I have. I like to go ahead and use up the cream. So I'm going to do like a batch and a half. I already made some biscuits earlier. I have a few in the freezer, but I'm running out, so I was like, I need to make some more biscuits. All right, so we have our flour. And I forgot to mention that, of course, you need a good mixing bowl. I like this wooden mixing bowl because, I don't know, I've tried different bowls like the stainless steel and then a resin bowl, and it just doesn't work for me as far as, you know, the mixing and getting it off. And so I create a little well, and then I take my heavy whipping cream. And so my recipe calls for 2 cups of self-rising flour. It helped if I've had this ready before, but okay, I need 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. And since I did 3 cups of flour, we'll do a little bit more, and then I'll just see how that goes. All right, I'm gonna set this to the side. Just going to put that in the sink because I'm done. And so mine is simply, you just start taking in the flour to mix it in. Now I didn't do a good job of creating my well today, so you can see that the cream ran over. And I just use my hand to gather that up. And you can use whatever tool you like to start gathering in the flour. And you just keep working with that until it becomes a dough consistency. Okay, guys, and just remove that excess using the pinch method. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and get our rolling, and we're gonna move over here to the other counter. Okay, guys, I just wanted to move all of the supplies over here, and I just like to put a little bit more of the self-rising flour down. It's all you need, just a little, and I just kind of spread that over my little mat. Oh, I'm forgetting things. And then I just take this out, just scrape the bowl, and take out my dough. All right, we can sit that bowl to the side. And one other thing I forgot to tell you guys is you will also need your biscuit cutters. So these are my biscuit cutters. I bought them from one of the home stores at Pike's Place. And it has all the different sizes on it, and I really like this. So just use your handy dandy cutter, and I like to use this size for my biscuits because I like mine fairly large. Sometimes I'll just do one. All right, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of this flour on my hands, and I'm just gonna get to flatten that out. Of course, you know, you don't wanna work with it too much, right? And then we're gonna fold it a couple times. We'll press that in. You're gonna fold it. And that's really about all you need. You don't just have to work it like you're doing bread dough, you know, for rolls. No, really a lot of kneading required, all right? So I'm just gonna do one more. And the more times you roll it, the flakier it gets. And one other thing I like to use is my little roller. So I like to use my little roller on here. So we're just gonna roll this out. And it doesn't matter that my mat is smaller because I can roll this as many times as I need, you know, fold it and cut to the size that I want. And then you just roll this out to the thickness that you want it to be. You know, some say, oh, 1/4 inch. But it's really dependent on how thick you want the biscuit to be. You know, I don't want a cookie. I like my biscuits a little tall, so I roll them out. This is still a little too thick, but well, that's a little too thin. I don't like it that thin, how you see that end, but I like them a little thick. So actually, let's see. I think this side is good for me. This side right here is good. All right, so let's cut out some biscuits. And again, you'll need your parchment paper. And so when I cut them out, I put the biscuits on the parchment paper. Let's see. All right, let's cut these biscuits out. Again, I like my biscuits really thick, so, and you don't have to cut yours as thick. I know they're gonna rise, but I like mine a little thick. I'm cheating. And it's okay, because once it bakes, it'll all bake together. I love these little cutters. It just makes it so much easier. These are a little thinner than I like. All right, and so now with this remaining, I just take this dough up, because these pieces I'm not going to be able to get a good cut, so I just merge all of those together, and then I just roll that back out again so that I'm able to get more cuts. Now I'm rolling this a little thicker, or cutting a little thicker, and rolling a little thicker. So my batch, or the recipe that I use, what I use today, I'm not getting as many, and that's okay, because I don't eat the biscuits every day, and it's enough for me so that when I want one, I can definitely have and I just continue to take this dough. I'm not wasting this. I've seen other people that just, throw the scraps away, they say, but not me. I'm going to use the scraps. Right? Right, until I can get all of it out. Use that one. Uh-oh, that's starting to stick. I need some more flour. Uh-oh. Okay. And one more. Let's scoop up some of that flour. And this one I will just shake myself. We'll use a smaller cutter on it. And there we go. All right. So now I've been able to use all of the dough, right? All right. Okay, so now that I have all of them cut out, the next thing I do is I place them in my freezer so that they can set before I'm able to actually store them in the food saver bag. So I'm gonna sit these in the freezer, for about 20, 30 minutes or so. I need them to be frozen so that once I use the food saver, they're not smashed, all right? We don't want to put it in the food saver smashed. All right, so I'm going to do this, guys, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, and so guys, I'm going to go ahead and fix breakfast. I'm just going to do some bacon, eggs, and of course biscuits. I also have some strawberry jam that I'm going to be eating with my biscuits. I love these things. And let me tell you another little secret. You can actually use these. This is so good. It has like a really nice crust on it. And you can use that for dessert if you like. Pour some strawberry compote, some apple compote. Just make you like an apple preserve or something. And for dessert, and put this on top, maybe even some ice cream. I'm telling you, yum, yum. These are so delicious. And so I'm gonna go ahead, finish cleaning up things. I forgot to preheat the oven, so I'm doing that now. And once the oven is preheated, I can go ahead and bake these, because I wanna show you that they still rise just as good as the first day you made them. Now I will say for these will not be as tall as the biscuits that you saw me prepare today, because I cut these a lot thinner, almost half as thin as I cut those. So I'm going to go ahead and cook these though, so you can see that they rise just as well as before. Okay guys, I'll be back in just a bit.
And so, guys, here you can see the biscuits are ready. They're frozen, they're hard, they're solid. So there will not be a problem once I start to use the food saver. And I always like to make sure they're good and frozen. Now, the bags that I use, I have already pre-cut these bags to my desired size. Sometimes I like to create them in a way where I can put maybe 4 or 5 and I make myself a little cutlet. As you see here, I like to be able to just cut down the center or however I make it where I can put more in there. And so at this point, you simply place your biscuits into the bag as I'm doing here. And you can set this any way you like. That is the beauty about having the food saver and pre-making your own bags. And you can probably find any size of bags or configurations that you like if you search on Amazon. But since I buy the box of bags, some pre-made, pre-cut, and some on the roller where I can make the bag the size that I want for whatever I'm making. And even when I do my cookies, my homemade cookies, I buy the size for the cookie itself. I just make the dough and I freeze that as well. I think I've shown that once before. But here I am just using my food saver. I vacuum seal just a little bit. I want to get out as much air as I can, and then I will seal it. And while I'm waiting for the others to seal, I'll go ahead and bag up the rest of the biscuits until they're all ready. And here you see my little homemade bag where I make it, where I split it in two. When I'm ready, I can just simply cut that down the center and be able to use that. And so once I'm done, all of the biscuits are done, and here they are ready to go into the freezer.
Okay guys, and here we have it. Here's my breakfast for this morning. I have some homemade biscuits, some egg whites, and well, one egg yolk, and my peppers that I like to add on my eggs or have with my eggs, and some bacon, strawberry jam, and of course my coffee. All right, yeah, these biscuits are absolutely the best. And I like to just dunk mine in the strawberry jam. Oh, y'all. I'm telling you, even after freezing, and I'm telling you, I made that batch about 2, maybe 3 months ago. And it's still just as fresh as if I just made it today. All right. Bon appetit, guys. You all have a wonderful Saturday. Okay, guys, so that's it for how I make and store biscuits for later use as a single person. I hope that you found this video helpful. And listen, guys, I will see you guys again soon if the Lord says the same. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. That'll help my channel grow. All right, guys. Bye-bye now.
This God kind of life, and it is the best kind of life. I'm living for Him. I have joy in my soul and peace in my home, 'cause I'm living for Him. I'm living this God kind of life. And it is the best kind of life. I'm living for Him. I have joy in my soul and peace in my home, 'cause I'm living for Him.